Mom, advocate, beautician, accomplished law enforcement officer, Estelle Young has worn many hats in her lifetime, and her servant leadership started before the badge. She marched in downtown Columbia to integrate businesses, and with Dr. King in an effort to secure voting rights in Selma, Alabama on Bloody Sunday. Young worked with the Southern Christian Leadership Conference and taught people how to read and write so they could pass literacy tests to vote. That same commitment to creating a safe, equitable community for all people led her to be a highly decorated captain for Columbia's police department, where she broke racial and gender barriers in law enforcement. This is a seat at the table.
The name that you call people and people call you. Tell me about Cuz.
Okay, because I came in contact with so many people, it wasn't possible for me to remember their name. So I just picked up this signature that says, okay, everybody can be Cuz. It just lasted, and I still do it today. Everybody's still my Cuz. And it's a nice gesture. It was great. Everybody knew everybody. They cared for each other. Good family relationships. And although many of the parents in the neighborhood, they didn't have high school education, but the encouragement was there. You just gotta do better than we did.
Okay, so how did you get your start in law enforcement?
I was a beautician. I used to do all the young girls' hair in the neighborhood. And one day I was looking out of the window on Washington Street. That's where many of the blacks' establishments were. And I saw this man just beating this guy unmercifully because he was drunk. It was an officer, and that's when I decided, okay, I gotta help make a difference.
What was your experience like, not only being one of the few females in the police department, but one of the very, very few black females?
Some mornings we went into roll call, and we had to hear a racial joke every morning. So eventually I just turned the tables. So sometimes I would beat them to the punch, and I think that's what helped me to endure. Then we had times when you would go on calls. The officers would say that I'm on the scene, and you, being a female, where are they? I've committed to this situation and I don't have any backup. Eventually they would come, but by the time they got there, the situation was resolved. White neighborhoods that you went in, they would give you a hard way to go. They would call your names, you would knock on the door, police, and they would call your names, and sometimes they would get on the telephone, call the dispatch, and say, I don't want a black officer responding to my neighborhood. I would always tell them, then if you don't want me, then you don't really need the police, because I'm the best thing they got.
What made you get up every single morning and choose to go in and put your badge on?
Changing the process and making a difference in the police department. And as I worked, opened doors, it made it better for the other females that was coming behind me. I made the community feel good all the time because I stayed in their communities. I worked in their communities. I knew the presidents of all of I'm here to tell you, I think I knew everybody in Columbia. and so everybody
like
was
it.
just happy when I got promoted because they knew I didn't go on the job to play. I did my job.
When you look back on your legacy, what are you the most proud of?
Making sure that other people would want to emulate what I've done. So my son's in law enforcement. My son and I were the first mother-son officers within the city of Columbia. My grandson is in law, my oldest grandson is in law enforcement, and I see a lot of young people in the community in other parts of the city who says, you were good police, and so we want to be a police too. So I guess my accomplishments rubbing off on other people, and I always have to say this, with our Explorer program that we had with the police department, now one of the young men who was one of my explorers is now deputy chief, and I had about 15 other kids that was in the Explorer program who are now police officers, and they've made rank. So I'm just proud of the fact that they saw enough in me to want to emulate what I did.